Universal really went all out today for the closing. They had, I mean, for the last month or so, they've had shirts. Today they had the characters out in the park to meet. They had wristbands. They really honored the ride, something that I wish more places, Disney, would do. I mean, it's, I love the love for the rides. Even, heck, you know, I know Midsummer Scream's going on right now, and Aiello even posted a little bit of something about it, about the track and the character they created for the opening of it. So it's just awesome to see everybody rally around a ride that has been there for what, Brian? It's been about 16 years or so.
Yeah, longer than I think, but not long in terms. It still feels new, honestly.
Like a somewhat new addition to studios.
Yep.
Back in 2009, I actually was originally, I had some friends in the business. They came out and invited me to go and experience Halloween Horror Nights. And I was very excited. I of course, was like, I need to go and do this event. Never done it before.
Yeah.
And then about a couple weeks in advance, there was a change of plans. Marketing realized that the website that I was going to be covering it for was more coaster related. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily a haunt. Those things kind of felt a little bit more separate at the time, and it was a coaster website. So therefore, they're like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe not Horror Nights, but come in and review this coaster. So actually,
hey, still a sweet deal.
Yeah. I mean, they comped my ticket into the park. I got to go and experience Rip Ride Rockit. It had just opened. I got front of the line, got to listen to Paralyzer, got to experience this whole thing. But Brian, I feel bad. So the thing is this. So I was a senior in college at the time. And let's say I wasn't the most prompt individual. And I went back. I'll be fair. I actually sat down and tried to write this review for time over and over again. I really tried to write this thing down, but I didn't really know what to say. It was an interesting experience. I really wanted to write something, but Brian, it's, you know, and I don't know if you know this, but I actually have the best screenwriting award from Liberty University at the time. But
that's not shocking.
I wasn't a copywriter. That was the thing. And
very different worlds.
Yes, it was. So at the time, you know, this is all written down. Now I get to just talk to a camera and sing. But Brian, this story has always felt unfinished to me. Every time I've seen this coaster, it just reminded me my failures. And whenever I would look at that lift hill, Brian, I would be like, I let them down. I don't even belong at this event. But then, Brian, as time went on, it hit me. Can you really review a ride after only one ride? Two rides? How many times can you ride a ride to really give it its due?
Andy, I'm sorry. Please don't hurt this man.
I say you have to wait until this ride is done. That it's gone. And Brian, according to my watch right now, that time is now. So finally, 16 years running.
The wheels aren't even cold yet. You're gonna do.
I bring you my review, COASTER-net's official review of Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, formerly at Universal Studios Florida, or Universal Studios. What's it called now? Is it Orlando or Florida?
Orlando. I don't know. So let me get this straight. Roughly 16-ish years ago,
fall 2009.
2009. You traveled down, got into the park. The intent of this trip was this review.
Was to review, yes.
and
it was fall break.
Did you do a little article?
No, there was nothing. No. You can probably check the history, the archives to this day, and there was not a single thing written. I'm pretty sure they were very mad at me. I probably got them in some trouble. Honestly, I'll tell you this. I don't think they ever got invited to go back to Universal. I'm sorry.
Is this why for 7 years on Hauntiverse, Andy and I never got a media invite?
You never got a media invite,
or and to anything Universal?
It all connects. And never wrote anything, and I'm sorry. But
You know,
but to be fair, I mean,
sorry. There's so much. Go ahead. There's so much to unpack here.
there's so much to unpack, but I think it's time that we actually look at the legacy, the completed legacy of this ride, Brian.
Is this why I'm wearing my coaster?
Yes. I especially
outfit.
invited you to this thing. I've been teasing this. It's been something that I've been working on for a while now. There is going to be a blog up on COASTER-net.
Is that
for
for
people
real?
to watch? Yes, that is for real. It is written. I wrote it. And this is a companion piece to that, Brian, that you and I can discuss this. We'll be hitting some of the same points. I have some thoroughly thought out ideas and things that could be that once were. And I'm excited. This has been something that's been brewing for a while.
It's a decade and a half.
It's a decade and a half. Oh, Brian, and I forgot. On top of all this stuff, they gave me a free DVD and a ride photo, which will also be.
There's no way you still have it.
I still have it. I think I put it back in its box, but I was going to show it right now. But it's back in its box.
I still know some of these people.
Yes.
They probably forgot that this even.
They definitely forgot. I shouldn't bring attention to this. I'm sure that once this comes out, the marketing team at Universal is going to be like, "Yeah, why didn't you do this? You're still blacklisted."
We're finally Ride and Brian's Excellent Halloween Orange Nights podcast is finally probably on the list to get their first media invite ever, and the person in charge is in the middle of typing it.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, YouTube just throws this video at them, and they blacklist us. That's exactly.
They're like, nope, you guys aren't coming. Because you know what? They're going to be like, he's not going to write it. What's he going to do? Wait for Horror Nights just to end?
Well, without further ado, I have to see where this goes.
You have to see it, Brian. So, but the thing is this, is there are some people out there that aren't too educated about this ride. So this, let's fill you in a little bit, people. So this ride opened up in 2009, Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. And at the time, it was actually a pretty interesting concept. So the idea is you would go through the back lot of Universal, kind of flying in between the different sound stages while listening to a selectable soundtrack. I mean, I think the things that are really memorable about it are the lift hill. The 90-degree lift hill was definitely the first one I ever experienced. And you can't hear it in the video, but definitely said some choice words the first time I went up it. But track list was cool. I think it's more common now to have music and songs incorporated in the ride, but at the time it was actually new and interesting, at least in my experience. You have more credits than I do, so
especially that variety and amount.
Yeah. And then actually at the end, so they actually had cameras in the back of the seats. They would record you writing it and then put together a music video that you could purchase at the end with the song that you chose. If two people chose different songs, they would just pick one of them. And actually eventually you would find out that there actually was a secret track list of songs that were meant to be on the ride or included on the ride, but not licensed for the DVD. You probably know how I feel about this ride.
But
you don't know how I felt that day.
I don't.
You don't know.
Before I knew you, and trying to get you on this ride. I mean, there was rest in peace tours. You sat out.
Yes.
It's not the only person who sat out. So I know that it's not your favorite, and I just always assumed that was the case. So take me back to yesteryear, Ryan.
Back to fall 2009. I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas and Fireflies by Owl City were playing in the background. Not on this ride, but in the background.
But Black Eyed Peas was playing on the ride.
It was on there. So Brian, the truth was, when I wrote it, I thought it was actually pretty great. I thought the idea was good with the track list. While at the time the songs weren't the newest songs, it would still provide a lot of variety. People could choose the different ones on there. I did think it was kind of odd for it being a filmmaking park, one based off movie IPs, that you would choose songs and music making as the theme. Specifically in my review, I actually wrote that I'm like, it's kind of odd of a theme for a theme park, but I mean, whatever. So but I thought it was really cool. I mean, you go through one of the buildings and you fly around. You get to go out to City Walk a little bit. So And honestly, Brian, the funny thing is anybody that's ridden it in the last couple of years would probably laugh at this, but the smoothness to this day, I thought it was one of the smoothest rides I had ever ridden.
That was almost a spit take from my coffee, because you'd be like strung up for saying that in the coaster community now.
But especially, when you with the, I'm not good at the coaster lingo, the loop.
Yeah.
But when you go over the loop, it's just, it really was super smooth at the time.
Yeah.
And the lift hill provided a nice little thrill as well. So, honestly, I thought it was a good addition to the portfolio. But as you hinted at and alluded to, this is something that would change over time. Its continuing legacy, Brian, is something really interesting. You and I were actually discussing on the pre-show. The view of this ride has really faded.
Yeah.
It's faded from favor with the crowds, but I would say in the beginning, a lot of people loved it.
It was hyped.
Yeah. And I mean, the during Horror Nights, during a normal park day, it would actually have pretty consistently long lines. It was one of the reasons why I first didn't ride it quite as much. So when I went in 2009, I was not a pass holder yet. That I'd been recently. I went in Christmas 2008.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until spring 2012 that I would go back and start going as a pass holder. And I would still, unless someone really wanted to ride it, wasn't one that I would jump to, mainly because the lines themselves were fairly long, and at the time I would rather ride Mummy or Jaws.
Right.
So, I know, yeah. It's weird to say that at the time.
We're back in 2009 right now.
Yep.
Man.
The no Harry Potter.
I'm not sure I'm ready for. I had a hard time with Just It closing today, and we're going back to like,
I know,
real emotional time. So okay, yeah. Continue. Sorry, that got me.
Well, and Brian, taking you back to that time as well, do you remember that there was another ride there? This is going to hurt your feelings, called Dueling Dragons.
I'm not going to make it through this episode.
No, you're not going to make it. And Brian, that's because what I wanted to bring up there was specifically the metal detectors. So there were some incidents on some rides.
I was going to say, I don't know why you got to bring them into this, but
some misbehaving guests, and a bunch of the rides actually it was Hulk, Dueling Dragons, and Rip Ride Rockit, I believe. It got really ridiculous, Brian.
Yeah, it did.
I'm not exaggerating when I say there was one time I got stopped because I had a tissue in my pocket. And I'm like, I don't even know what kind of metal detector this is. They're just like, oh, look, there's something sticking out of your pocket there. And I'm like, yeah, it's a tissue. And they're like, okay, whatever. And the thing is this, Ryan, I'm not the biggest locker guy. I know some people don't mind it all that much, but I don't like stopping before and after ride. I just like going and experiencing the ride. So, the metal detectors as well. That was something I would always kind of, I don't really want to do. And also, because you got to put everything in the locker too, you got to have your like pass on you, because I have been there before where people have put their ticket in the locker.
Yeah.
You have to, okay, well now I can't open my locker.
Yep.
So, but Brian, the other thing, and this is I'm going to quote myself here. Is that pretentious? Can I quote myself?
You're doing a 16-year later review. You can do whatever you want right now.
So Brian, as the years went on, and while the paint faded on the track, so did the track list.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Can you tell I've been waiting? I've been waiting so long for this.
I don't even have to ask how long have you been sitting on that. I know exactly how long.
But Brian, I mean, we said that it was tiny bit dated, but fine. As it went on, these songs were like, all right, okay, like can you update these things?
Yeah.
And the thing is, Brian, is that Universal owns a music company. They have rights. Like, it's one thing if you were another park that didn't have any, and I know, so, we know from the Horror Nights game, they even say that, like, just because it's Universal doesn't mean that they automatically get to share things. It's like the Universal Monsters IP. They're not allowed to just use them freely. They have to have permission. But I'm sure if they wanted to switch up the songs on Rip Rockit, they could be able to figure out something. The secret track list, as that became more and more known, that it provided some more freedom of songs to choose. I know that eventually I started doing Muse's Stockholm Syndrome and Freebird as my big songs. Eventually, one I never got to do, but I would have been excited to do, is Painkiller by Judas Priest. That's one I never got to do. But the ride itself, what once was smooth, no longer was smooth anymore. It was something that I would guarantee that if I rode it, I would get a headache or just jostled around or be in some sort of pain. So something that if I was going to ride it was going to be one of the last things I did because I didn't want to be in pain the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Something that people would keep in mind. I know. Yeah. So therefore at Horror Nights, I'm like, I might ride it once. Definitely not going to ride it twice.
No, and you're not the only person I've heard say that, So I can't. I always went to bat for this ride, so I'm letting you go. It's, you're not super off base, but it was bumpy, but I love this ride. I don't care. I've been bullied my whole life for it.
I mean, come on, maybe not fully worthy so, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's people who hated this from the beginning. But there's merit in what you're saying because my wife, this was her number one ride, and her last ride on it during one of our recipe tours she was like, I don't want to do that again. It's too painful. So, and that's not, and one thing I do want to say, if you guys haven't seen, El Toro Ryan does some really awesome deep dives. He did a whole breakdown on this ride, and Universal did everything they could to try and keep this ride at top tier quality running, efficiency, smoothness, everything. It was a problematic ride for sure, but it wasn't without effort. Universal did put a lot of money, and I mean a lot of money, into kind of maintaining it. So that's why it's not the most shocking to see it closing.
The part that I really want to focus on is the unforeseen potential of this ride.
Okay.
So this ride, I mean, we've said it made 16 years. Whoa. It made it 16 years. And the thing is I know when this ride first opened, I was like, oh, the track list is its strength. This is a ride that its rewritability is based off this track list. So what could they do? They could have seasonal songs. They could change up the track list from time to time. At its 10-year anniversary, at its 15-year anniversary, I was like, you know what? If they wanted to keep this ride, why don't they do a greatest hits?
Yeah.
Like, it's common for artists as time goes on to have a greatest hits, and you can mix it up. You could throw a fresh coat of paint on there and call it a day. And the thing is, Brian, is we live in a time and an age where seasonality is a marketing 101. You have the pumpkin spice latte in the fall. Everybody goes, they rush, they frequent Starbucks more because they can only get that drink for a limited amount of time. What if you did that for songs? I know it's a bit. I know that you and we can no longer say, bring Monster Mash to Rip Ride Rockit, which is probably the saddest part of this entire review, is that Monster Mash will never happen on that ride. But Brian, how cool would it have been for them to have an HHN exclusive playlist? You could only listen to these songs during Halloween Horror Nights.
You're killing me.
When they had Halloween there, you could just have the Halloween theme playing on repeat throughout the whole thing. This year, you could just have the entire time. It would be annoying. It would get very tiresome after the first hill. But so many things. We were talking about Killer Clowns from Outer Space. They had that a couple years ago, having that theme on there. At least you got to have the Chucky one, though. I mean, that was a valid experience for you. So,
is this therapeutic for you? Because this is just devastating me. The more you talk, the angry, sadder I get. It's like a mix of anger, sad.
And that's good. I'm doing my job, Brian.
We had Alice Cooper. We had Rob Zombie. We could go on and on of the songs that should have been on this, and not just for Halloween.
Slash, really, over in California. I'm sure he writes music for them all the time.
He could probably had to bring up the Chucky thing. You had to.
I did have to bring up the Chucky thing. And the thing is, Brian, is
it was like a smack to the face, Ryan. We begged for years, and we got a commercial that didn't even sound good.
And people may argue, like, oh no, it's too complicated, like it's something that they gotta do. But the thing is that they did it. They added songs. I know when the Jonas Brothers played there, they added Jonas Brothers songs onto the ride.
They did it for Rock the Universe when the Christian bit.
So we knew it was possible, but why they didn't do it anymore? That's the kind of love that people, especially the Thuzies, we really need something to an excuse to ride these rides over and over again. And the thing is as I started writing this down, there's just more and more possibilities I kept on thinking of. I'm like,
Christmas.
Okay, yes, Christmas.
Oh my God.
You know, there's lots of songs during Christmas that you could have. You could have The Grinch.
One of their biggest events outside of HHN is Mardi Gras, which is the entire thing is a concert. It's how did we not have music from every band?
They have concerts there, and I'm sure those bands probably they probably would have signed off on putting one or two of their songs on there. You know, had it be a whole marketing thing, it would have been great, Brian. And that's the thing with this ride is, forever for me, this ride will always it didn't live up to the full potential that it could have had, because the reason I think that this ride will be a good ride that people kind of fondly remember but look more forward to the next thing is because of this this potential. It's not something that people will think of 10, 20, 30 years from now, or one that they would be like, oh man, I got to take my kid on this one. Like a lot of rides, you know, but this is a ride that really, I guess, served its purpose and its time came.
That's tough.
But Brian, this is a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. I know some people will be watching this for the review, but this is hosted by two people that are diehard HHN people. And the thing that I really want to bring attention to in this review is the marriage of Rip Ride Rockit and Halloween Horror Nights, or RRR and HHN, as, you know, I like to call it, you know. The thing is I don't know if I've actually accepted that this ride is gone. I've talked about it all season, but, you know, I had a kid and life's been busy, and you saying every year for the last, I think I believed it in my bones 2 years ago. Someone was going to get us Monster Mash on that ride. I also felt so too.
I bought into it, and I think I'm just really, you're watching me go through the stages right now, and I'm going to grieve for a little bit, but I'm sad. I don't care what comes next. Go on.
I mean, Brian, I don't know if I actually told you this, but at one point in time, I checked the email, and we got an email from Universal Marketing with just the 3 numbers 420.
I'll kill you. No, don't even. It's still the day of. It's the day of. Come on. It's wrong with you.
And it never happened.
Yeah. Just keep going. Let's hit it.
All right. So Halloween Horror Nights and Rip Ride Rockit. Ultimately, Brian, I mean, this ride actually, for me, it's funny because nothing ever changed for this ride for HHN, but it felt like it was always a part of it. Yeah. This was a ride that I think it's more the visuals than the actual experience itself. It would be one of those things where I would be throughout the park. You would look and in the darkness, you would see the lights on the side of it going. You would hear people screaming. You would walk underneath it and then see it going above you. Because that was the thing that was really unique about this ride during HHN was usually it was kind of, it always took place in the back lot, but you never got to see that. You never got to experience what it did back there. But once they opened up those gates and we got to go into the sound stages, you could actually see underneath the ride. You could see different angles. You could experience people screaming above you before you're about to go and scream yourself.
I bought a low light app for my phone because of the light trail photo option you could get during HHN of this ride.
I don't blame you, Brian. I mean, this ride was a beautiful ride, especially at nighttime. Also, during HHN, great people eater.
Yeah.
Definitely ate up a lot of the crowd.
But it was a great one.
Yes. And I mean, you know, it was one of those things, it was another thing to get to do during the event. Yeah. Which we won't have this year, which will be interesting to see the event. But especially during the early years, it was always it was a part of it for me. I would always ride it at night. Or originally, I would be like, okay, this is something that I need to do. You should be the last ride of the night. Yeah, I'd pick my song, and that was kind of my tradition. I wouldn't ride it during the day when I would go, but I'd always be like, okay, this is my HHN ride. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do Mummy.
Once that happened, it just even if I did ride in the daytime, it was never as good. You know, it really thrived during HHN.
But really, Brian, the thing for me is what I will think of this ride and its integration to HHN. It's not just this review, because honestly, those two things are already paired up. You know, I was supposed to go for HHN and end up doing this review 16 years later. But the first year I went in 2011 to HHN, going into Nightingale's the first time, never doing a Halloween Horror Nights house. I remember walking underneath Rip Ride Rockit to go into that house, and forever walking underneath that lift hill it means it's Horror Nights.
Yeah.
It's never Horror Nights until I walk underneath that ride, and something that I really do think I'm going to miss this year.
Yeah.
It will be, it's something kind of feels a little bit empty about that side of the park.
Yeah. I think that's a good, and for people who might not understand that, something I think for me that really, you're waiting inside the park for some of those lines, and then you're either on the outskirts or you're seeing stuff that is not glamorous in the back, right? Yeah. That truly felt like you're crossing over a threshold. You're seeing this ride, you're not normally here, and then you're going into the sound stages. It really was a transition for those houses there. And yeah, I'm listening right now to the whole playlist is on Spotify, guys.
Oh, there you go.
And Float On just came on.
Oh yeah, another
Rest Easy Rocket. It's gonna float on in my heart.
Do you have any? We'll take a pause here before I get to my conclusion. But do you have any specific memories of Rip Ride Rockit?
Yes. Sit down, buckle up. This is going to be longer than the first time I went to HHN and waited for Saw's house, which was 3 hours. So what would have been better there? Actually, I'm going to rewind and say, sit down and buckle your seatbelt because it's going to take longer than my first wait for Rip Ride Rockit. And I don't ever talk about it because of how long it was. And people would be like, you waited that long for Rip Ride Rockit. You're an idiot. Andy would still say that to my face right now. But Ryan, this was a wildly important ride to me. Yeah. I was living in Florida at the time, and I was always interested in coaster companies that we didn't have in America.
Yeah.
And I've been obsessed with the X Car and Martyr Rides, however you say it. I'm not good at the pronunciation. I loved their unique style of coasters, and I would have given anything to have one in America. And I don't believe we had the one that was in Arkansas, or that's in Arkansas or Alabama, wherever it is. I don't think we had that yet.
Yeah.
And when this got announced that we were getting a mega one, I was the enthusiast potentially providing pictures to the website that sent you down when it was under construction.
Oh.
And I knew I had to question there. I had to question my life at one point because I was the reason they put a tarp over the cars one day because I had an SLR, so like I had a nice camera, I was getting photos of it. I actually went, this ride got delayed. It was supposed to open in the summer, and then it got delayed and delayed and delayed, and it finally opened in the fall. And someone told me, they said, hey, rumor is their employee previews tomorrow. They're going to open it to soft open.
Ooh.
And they literally took a hammer to the construction wall and opened just like a little slot. And they let us wait. They only had 3 trains running, and they said, hey, this is going to be like 3 hours, and half the trains aren't working for audio. And I was like, I don't care. I'm riding this thing. I've won it. I was obsessed with the car style, the lap, everything about it. And I did. And they literally boarded the fence back up after we went through. And Ryan, at this point, I'd been to Millennium Forest, Cedar Point, all the Busch Gardens. I had been all over. I had a pretty good credit count at this point.
Yeah.
And it was semi-euphoric. I'm not going to lie. I was not somebody who hated the look of it because at the time it was, you talked on it. This park didn't have anything like that.
No.
Men in Black, Back to the Future, Simpsons, these giant scale themed things. Rocket did not fit any of that.
But
it changed the skyline.
Yeah, I will say that it did fill a gap in that side of the park, or that specific gate, because it didn't really have too many outside attractions. So something that was definitely well needed and something that I always liked looking up and seeing it. So
yeah, no, it was great. I had, when Pump It came on, because I did get one of the trains that worked, it was incredible. I had the time. I remember that first ride, and I loved this coaster. This coaster's in my top 10 for way longer than it probably should have been. And then you add in Rip Ride Rockit, HHN. Rip Ride Rockit became my HHN closing tradition. Even after I moved away, 1:59 a.m. I'd get in line because you could risk doing another house, but what if you got a bad run through?
Yeah.
If the line was long, half the cast is gone anyway. It was not a great way. Rip Ride Rockit. I'm so glad Andy and Danny and nobody. I'm so glad I don't have an enthusiast on here because they would be destroying me right now. Rocket always guaranteed a good time at the end of the night. I don't care what anybody says. And Paralyzer, front row. It just didn't get any better. And Ryan, when you turned after the non-inverting loop, which was the world's first, I believe, and it was first in America, one of my favorite elements of all time. And there's a few more of them. When you came up out of that second block, section, the break run, everybody calls it block break the ride, block section the ride, whatever. People hate the pacing and complain the airtime's too painful. Grow up. When you came around and you could see down the scare zone and the fog and the show. And coming down, when there was a concert, riding this thing at during Mardi Gras, when there was a band playing and there were just thousands of people, I love this ride. I would always make a stop on Recipe Store. People pay good money to go on the Recipe Store. I said, hey, we are going to do Rockit. I'm sorry, it just has to happen. So Ryan, it's devastating, and my wife liked it.
Yeah,
it was her number one. We loved this ride. It's so many memories, and it's gonna be hard to not see it there. It really is. And it just meant so much for so many things. The start, I mean, Universal put a freaking roller coaster in their studio park that they said they would never do any type of ride like that. And we really saw a wave of coasters after this in, all the areas down there.
It was like the start of a trend there, kind of like how they had the 3D ride, the screen rides for a while, and that kind of, it was the start of an era, and then, you have the end of an era. So,
yeah. And looking at it now, it still doesn't make sense. You look at the aerial photo, it is just out of place, like so much. But also talk about potential. This ride was also supposed to break. I want to go back 60 years to do a review. What's crazy is, what's basically so angry about this, I was living there, and I knew the website, and I knew the people you're talking about. Why did I get to just go do it for them? Is this about Cheetah Hunt? I swear to God, Cheetah Hunt was after this. Anyway.
And Brian, I don't know if you saw in the video, you're in the coaster behind me.
Could you imagine? But what I was going to say, this was going to be...
I should have photoshopped my photo.
Did you know you were on this? I would lose my mind. You could have sold me that I was. This was going to be high capacity. You're talking 7 trains, which is why it had so many block sections. One of the first ever major thrill attractions that had a stopped load station. It was a constantly moving station, which on roller coasters wasn't really a thing then. You had omni movers and water rides, sure, but for I'm not gonna lie. Once you added in the secret song list, it was a stressful boarding process.
It was.
Get in, sit down, hold the thing. Oh my God, did I do it too long? It was not a relaxing.
Well, that's the thing too. Is you would go and you would sit down, and I would always try to time it so I was one of the first to sit down, because if you were the last to sit down, you don't have that extra time.
Right.
And the stupid little logo wouldn't automatically. You would have to count and then let go, and then you would hope that. And then also the little tiny keypad on there.
That's got
was like this, and I'm like, eh.
And
luckily, the song I wanted to listen to was 1, 2, 3. So
but that was the other thing. When I lived there and I was trying all these songs out, you had to put your phone in the locker. Yeah. And now you're trying to remember. I had a piece of paper I would take with me. Maybe that's what they saw in your pocket, and they were like, "Hey, sir, no secret songs." But also the capacitors, the charging, the brightest LEDs that could be seen in the daytime, the music. This was the coaster of the future in my mind, because you had it all. You had all these amazing things that were not being done on this level of variety. Yeah. Yes, you had Hollywood Dream overseas have 5 songs on it, and that had LEDs in it too. But this just felt like a new thing. And so when you talk about full potential, it's really hard to see, what it could have been and what it was for a little bit for me.
Well, that's the thing, Brian. And actually, this even isn't in my written review, but you did bring up a good point. As while there's a lot of unforeseen potential, the ride itself was a good ride.
Yeah,
it was a fun experience. It was something that, while we could be a little bit hard on it, it was good for what it was.
The non-inverting loop, and then the forces on that treble clef turn or bass clef, whatever it was, that thing was incredible.
Yeah.
An upward helix into an upward overbank into ejector air right after. It was, I can't, The only thing I was sad at was their first roller coaster. I was a little bummed because their whole thing was this new lap bar and going upside down.
Yeah.
And at IAPA, the booth was their car flipped upside down. You could sit in it and just hang upside down to see how safe it was. And so we finally get it, and we get no inversions.
Yeah.
And I was kind of angry about that. And then they're like, we're doing the first non-inverted loop. I was like, that's not what I wanted. Ended up being the greatest thing.
I loved it. Yeah, that was one of those. That was my favorite feature of it. Was
the world
yeah,
flipping around you in the back.
because it was kind of like looping, but it wasn't. It was great. But
it's better than a loop. Loops are dumb and boring, so it's fine.
But Brian, I appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah.
But there you have it. After 16 years of thrills and screams, not mine, COASTER-net's official review of Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit.
Well done, sir.
Yes.
You know, if not, you know, better late than never, I guess. If the ride's closed.
Hey, you can't really review a ride. But Brian,
this might be the first review opening day review opening close
day review
ever. Yeah.
But Brian, I did put some thought into this, and I wanted to read my conclusion here. I thought
please
that
take us home.
It summarized my thoughts pretty well. So after countless rides, playlists, and experiences, the ride will live on as a good ride with a great concept, with a full potential that was just never seen. But Brian, I will leave you and the audience with my last experience with Rip Ride Rockit. A few years ago, knowing its days were numbered and rumors swirling around about what may replace it, I chose to have my final ride the way I love to experience it. And that was about midnight at Halloween Horror Nights. We approached the near empty queue, and when I sat down, I held that Rip Ride Rockit logo for approximately 10 seconds, counted underneath my breath, and I pressed 112 for Freebird, a swan song for a ride that I'll only ride from now on in my memories. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope it was worth the wait. Probably not, but I enjoyed it. So
beautiful. It's
farewell,
touching.
Everybody. Rip Ride Rockit. Farewell.
Rip.
Hasta.